Hey everyone, Nhire here. This is another build guide concept thing that I'm gonna be creating here right now, and this build is basically the opposite of what the previous one was. And if you haven't watched the previous one, is basically the Albron's Warpath, Strength Stacking, Chaos, Poison, Assassin, Molten Strike thing, and I was entirely boss faced. So basically the whole build was nothing else but boss killing ability as fast as possible with any chance to basically just run away from him after you've done your 1-2 seconds of damage in, because since it's poison based and we do stack a lot of duration, you can just attack the boss for 1-2 seconds, run away from it for several more seconds, and he's gonna die 100%, so it's a bit more safe in that regard. And this one on the other hand is entirely focused on the clear speed. It has some single target DPS, which is increased with all the totems, with the frost bomb, but when it comes to single target, it's quite a lot worse compared to the assassin. However, the defensive ability of this one is actually way stronger, and this is something I'd actually like to talk about, since the previous one, the Poison Assassin, is basically a mixture of dodge, evade, maybe a little bit of block chance, and that's basically it. The main source of survivability for the Assassin was mostly the life recovery you get from the poisoned enemies that die, as well as the flat life gain on hit from the balls they create from Molten Strike. And since there was so many of them with so much attack speed, you basically got several thousand life each second instantly, and he also had about 7300 life, which was pretty hefty when it comes to defensive. This one, as you can see here, is not even 5700. This one is one level lower. This is level 94, and if you want to, this could be easily increased to like 6.5k just by switching boots, as well as the jewels, because right now I'm actually using the unique jewels for the frost blades with corruptions for the corrupted blood immunity, as well as 1% cold damage reduction, cold damage penetration. And because of that, my overall life pool dropped down quite a bit. However, the DPS went up exponentially, so this is well worth it, especially since this is 79 chance to block kind of character, so it is really easy to survive, and not even one-shots happen all that often, and actually they pretty much never happen, since this build is overcapped to 120, between 120 and 140 resistances on everything, as well as about 20k armor with increased armor when you're standing still and so on. So basically it is pretty hard to die. Oh yeah, they did even mention Fortify, which is reducing the damage we take from hits. So all of this with 79% block and life recovery on block and life gain on hit is actually pretty hard to kill. At the moment you probably see some clips of me clearing the maps, and which is pretty much the same case as it was for the previous video. I'm trying to go with this concept now, and right now actually let's just go with some extra things, because basically this build is using just the uniques when it comes to the items themselves, obviously not the flasks, and that is the surrender, which is at the moment quite expensive. And the only reason I'm actually running the surrender right now instead of a rare shield is actually the fact that I need armor. Well, my armor is pretty low, so big melee physical hits were actually kind of wrecking me down. And Reckoning actually has a base of about 1500 armor, which is hella good, as well as flat 1500 if you block recently, which is all the time. So this actually stabilizes the build quite a bit when it comes to physical damage taken. And the other unique is just the Mark of the Elder. That's pretty much the best in slot, since it gives you a whole lot of damage as well as life, which is, well, your main source of survivability. Everything else for the build is basically rare. However, everything else is pretty much self-made. You can buy the stuff yourself if you want to. However, you can just make them yourself using fossils and bestiary crafting, or just use essences. Alright, so at the moment the clips should have ended, and you can see my screen with my items. Alright, so for now I'll just come back to the surrender so you can actually see it starts again. Yeah, it's pretty much a great defensive shield. You can also go for something like... whoops. You can go for something like this. No, where is my shield? Right, the one right here. This is a 5% life recovery on block, as well as 94 life gain on block, with 31% chance to block and acceptable life. This could be even stronger with a T1 life, and if I actually Blessed Orb the implicit, but well, it's still pretty good. If you have more than 6k life when it comes to survivability, it's better than the Surrender. However, as you can see, this one has 261 armor, it could get like 350 or something if you, no, like 3 something, if you increase its quality. However, yeah, in this case, Surrender is just way better, and as you can see, my armor right now is just 7300. With this shield, it's 27, which is quite a big difference. Same with the Lion's Roar, that's 68, 1100. And if it gets hit, it goes up even more, which is hella good for the survivability. And for the rest of the gear, well, this is the Mark of the Elder I mentioned earlier on. With the helmet we use is basically any enchantment that grants us DPS. In this case, Blood Rage was actually the cheaper option, and this helmet can actually be reused for any other build, so it doesn't have to specifically be Frostblades. The difference in DPS was actually pretty much non-existent. I think Frostblades actually gives you like 2% more damage compared to this one. It's not 2% more damage on your whole build, obviously, it's just like 2% better than Blood Rage. And what you're trying to get in your helmet is basically minus 9k as cold res, as much life as you can, any res you can get, strength probably, intelligence even, since you do need intelligence on your amulet or on your skill tree. Then come for the amulet, we have nothing else but DPS and some res. And this is basically what you want. You want as much fizz, as much crit multi, as much elemental damage, and as much life. And if you can, just get some resistances, and if you cannot, then try to get some accuracy, which is also pretty nice. Then second ring, the ring that actually allows us to use the Mark of the Elder as a shaper ring with basically any damage stuff you can get, and as much res as you can get, since we are pretty tight on the res, cause well, shield doesn't have anything. Ring doesn't have anything, gloves don't have anything, and I actually had to specifically use different pair of boots right now because I actually used to play this build with the camped roots. So basically, that was another piece of gear that didn't have any resistances, and without this boots, I'm actually still at about 80% on every single res. So I had to cap it with my belt, with my ring, and my amulet. And I was actually quite happy to get the cold res on the helmet, and I also have a little bit on my body armor. But continuing, we have the Stygian Vines, that's basically just as much res, as much life, and possibly elemental damage attacks. Then for the gloves, since we're playing claws, we have a bit lower chance to block because we don't have the extra block from the from a specific wheel next to the ranger area. For the swords, that one actually gets us about 10% or 8% chance to block, which is really helpful. But with claws it's a bit more difficult, so you need a 5% chance on them, on the gloves that is, with any damage mods, and as much life as possible. So in this case, this is actually really nice. I think I bought this for about 15C or something, so they're really cheap. Then the body armor. The body armor I self-made. This is actually one of the ones I was trying to make for a long time, since I did quite a few 6 links, and I was trying to craft them so they're good enough for my build, so there's enough life, enough crit chance, and so there is an open prefix for the block chance craft. And basically this is something I made, and I still had an open prefix, so I slammed it and I just go increase dexterity. It's nothing special, but well, still something that is kind of useful. And the last swing class is the weapon, and this is well, is a 426 PDPS Imperial Claw with crit chance and crit multi, and that is actually pretty insane. And it is not hard to craft. Something like this is really not hard to craft. It's basically the amount of money you're gonna need to make something like this is gonna be quite high. And basically I bought this base, which is the T1 flat physical 25 to 49, which is quite close to being perfect, just 4 off on the minimal damage. I bought it for 5x or 4x from what I remember, and then you just use the Deafening Essence of Zeal to get T0 attack speed, which is 28 to 30%, and just hope for any nice mod along with it, and then just craft a increased physical and you basically home. Something like this is going to be pretty expensive to make, but I think you can probably easily make it in like 10x or so, depending on obviously if there are any bases with the fractured mod of this kind of quality on the market. And as for the last item, which is actually another one of the expensive ones I'm using, is this, the Tailwind Boots. That's a T1 life with a T3 fire and crafted life, sorry, and crafted double res. And yeah, it took me a while to actually make those. They're quite expensive, that's for sure. And this is also another item that I'm going to be using in my last guide that I'm going to upload probably in the next 2 days. And I just gotta say that it took me quite a while to get all these, to buy the imprints and just keep on spamming this until I actually got the T1 life. And then I was spamming another 15 or so imprints just to get a decent res that's above 40, so this was nice. And as you can see, there is still 2 open prefixes, so I could try to slam it and hope for like a hybrid life, so I could get another like 15, 20, 25 life, and that would basically just make these boots amazing, or if not life, the movement speed, which is also pretty nice. That's all for my actual items, and then there's just Flasks, which is the increased amount recovered to 10 Flask with immunity to bleeding. There's Diamond Flask with duration and attack speed. I should actually have this with the immunity to freeze. I didn't need the immunity to freeze because I was using the Count's Roots, but right now it's gonna have to be changed, so we'll probably do it later on. Then there's Cinder Swallow, which is a great source of DPS, since you get a crit chance, you get onslaught, and you get the increased damage taken against ignited enemies. And as you know, this is a cold build, so we do not have all that much fire damage, which is why we use a jewel like this, which gives you flat fire damage to claw attacks, along with just life and attack speed. So we can actually apply Ignite and crit, and we can have the benefit of using Cinder Swallow all the time. Then there is the Bottled Faith, the highest DPS kind of flask in the game. Well, this is just DPS. There's nothing else to explain, to be honest with you. And the last one is just Lion's Roar. This is used over the Wise Oak, even though Wise Oak does a little bit more damage, mostly because of the flat armor you get from this one, because I do need to reduce the physical damage taken as much as I can. And since we're done with the items, let's actually go to the... let's go to the gems in the items. So we're not done with the items entirely. I'll just start with 6 link first. So we have our Frostblaze, which is level 2120. And we also get +1 from the Awakened Added Cult, level 5 right here. We also use a Multi-Strike. I don't have quality on it. I don't really want to buy one, since this is my last build that's going to be using Multi-Strike. Awakened Cold Penetration, this is not leveled yet, so the build could go up in DPS quite a bit. Elemental Damage of Attacks, which is not yet corrupted actually. Let's actually go of this video. And it's gonna go down. Yes, wow. Alright, next one is Anomalous Ruthless. Anomalous version gives you 10% attack speed on 20 quality, which is hella nice, and Ruthless is actually the strongest support you can get on this build. Fortify was also considered, however, it's not strong enough, so I just dropped it. And yeah, the last one being the added called Damage Support. Now for the helmet, we're using Tempest Shield, Power Charge and Critical Strike. So basically, whenever we block Tempest Shield creates this like one kind of ray of lightning that attacks anybody who attacks us, and whose attack we block, and it chains several times. Chains once, okay, several times. And basically just whenever you get a crit, you get a power charge, which is actually really nice. You also got Hex Touch support and Frostbite, so whoever attacks us once again gives us both power charges and is cursed. In our surrender we have Reckoning level 30, along with Melee Fist, Pulverize, and Ancestral War Chief. In our weapon there is Anomalous Blood Rage, which is actually amazing kind of gem, because it gives you 2% chance to get a Frenzy Charge when you hit a unique enemy. And since this build with everything on has about 16 hits a second, then it's pretty easy to actually get your Frenzy Charges in the boss fights, and that's a big DPS increase without any mobs or any adds to spawn. We got Precision level 8 and Ancestral Protector right here. For the last 2 items, we got Hatred, Herald of Ice, and Lightning level 3, could be level 4, but I don't have that big problems with mana. Blood and Sand, it's just because I play Gladiator and I need to swap in between Blood and Sand stance so I can get my Challenger charges. And the last one, Fortify, Iron Blades, Blood Magic, and Frostbomb. I don't use faster attacks because since I have so much attack speed, I have the Challenger charges and I have Tailwind. If I use faster attacks, that is like 20-20 or something, I just cannot control Iron Blades anymore, and then just becomes chaos and stuff. Frostbone level 13, it doesn't get any more benefits from being higher level anyway. It's just less damage from the Frostbone itself, but the damage reduction is the same, and life regeneration is the same. And I don't really want to invest any more intelligence just to get Frostbone to a higher level. And now for the amps and for the gems is basically it. And we go on to the tree. We are playing a Gladiator, and we are playing full block. So basically all the block possible stuff on the Gladiator we take, as well as standard charges, which is hella nice for basically anything, any attack build that is, because well, it's just more attack speed, so whatever you're playing, physical or elemental, it's still nice and good. Going down, we obviously take all the shield related stuff. We go for the block chance right here, for the damage with shields. Right here we have one of the 5 for survival with cold penetration. We taking the command of steel along with the jewel socket on the side, going to the ranger area, life, evasion, block chance, some intelligence and block chance stuff right here, converting physical to cold damage, extra life, attack speed with accuracy, crit multi, crit chance. Right here we have got another 5 for survival. This one's with the corrupted light cannot be inflicted on you, so we don't have to worry about the bleed, which is another reason why this Flask actually has to be recrafted as well. This one could actually be changed to the freeze immunity instead, and just leave the diamond plant as it is, so it has extra duration and attack speed. Got some life right here. This is optional, however it is pretty nice. You could just spend these points on here instead, getting this shield stuff and getting this life in here, but well, it's not really that big of a deal. You can just take this one since it has intelligence right next to it, and you can actually set intelligence on your gear. We got the claw circle, the entire thing, and except this one. We got in life and go into the shadow area. This is the only node they're actually missing right now. This is actually going to increase our DPS quite a bit, and that's going to happen level 95, and at level 95 the build is basically finished. Everything else that you should probably do past level 95, which is actually entirely finished at level 98, would be these two nodes for life and this one right here for another 12% life. And at that point, at level 98, you should easily be over 6k, even with all this damage stuff and without the camps roots. Because as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you go for the camps roots instead of the ones that I have right here, the two-toned ones with Tailwind, we go from 5700 life to 6100 life. So that's a lot of the life boost, not to even mention some extra armor here. And this is actually pretty much it for the tree. We also have one lethal pride right here. And the thing I was looking for with the lethal pride is actually Intimidate, and that was the only important thing I wanted to get. We have the Intimidate right here, and we've also got 20% melee damage right here, and there should be another 20%. This is a Fortify effect, which is actually pretty nice since we actually use Fortify right now, and another 20% melee damage right here. So we have 2 damage nodes, some extra attack damage, life leech, and the Intimidate. You can obviously get something better, especially right here, because there are small points in here. And if you take this one instead of the life, then it's even more points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 decent abilities that you can use. I think back when I was playing similar builds in Harvest, I used to have 3 times crit multi and like 2 times physical damage or 2 times melee damage or something like this, and I had Intimidate and my gloves instead. That was pretty good back then. And for the anointment, we also have the Claws of the Falcon, which is right here, probably the best one possible. That's claw attacks damage, crit multi, and accuracy, which we need since we are at 98%, I believe. Yeah, we're at 98%. Having an extra accuracy in our amulet would actually cap it up and be pretty nice. But yeah, this build is basically finished as it is. So you can min-max it if you want to, but the DPS is going to increase by like maybe 5-10% tops. So it's not going to be that amazing. Obviously it's going to become way better at level 98 or something. Or I mean, you can become way stronger at level 98 if instead of going for the life, you actually go for the damage and take this instead, the Force of Nature. All in all, this is 44% increased damage with elemental attacks, elemental damage with attacks, and 6% penetration, which could increase your DPS by, I think, 800,000, wasn't? Somewhere around the POB. Well, you can check yourself in the POB description that I put down. so we can just see whatever outcome is actually best for you if you decide to play the build. And as for the tree, that's pretty much it actually. And well, yeah, this is kind of the same thing I did back in Harvest, kind of the same, because well, Harvest was actually a little bit extreme. At the time you could create whatever the hell you wanted when it comes to items, and everything pretty much was self-crafted. It was hard to sell, so in the end the GG items I was trying to craft to sell, I ended up using myself. And this is something that actually can be made in normal way without spending like several hundred X. In the end, I'd say that the cost of the build, if you did it the way I did, I think I bought a helmet for about 50C, then I used the orb, which I bought for 2X, and I crafted this using, I don't know, like about 1X of the fossils, something like that. The weapon was bought for 4X, and I spent about 2 or 3X on the essences as well as 1X on the craft, so it's about 10X or so. The gloves 15 chaos. This one I don't even want to talk about because it is gonna take a while with all the imprints, considering the imprints are 31C each, and you can use 5 of them, you're gonna be fine. You can use 50 of them and you're gonna be fine. It's all about the luck. So making something like this would be anywhere from like 5X to 20X, if not more. Surrender the month is about 6.5X, something like that. This amulet you can, this ring you can actually buy for like 5C for any roll, or you can buy a decent one like max life and close to max attack damage for like 20-30C. Amulet like this I think cost me about 1X. However, Claws of the Falcon Anointment was using the golden oil, so this is gonna cost you about 40-50 chaos. The belt was actually bought from somebody else. I think I paid about 2X for this. And this body armor I made myself. However, the astral plate base I think at the time was about 100C. Then obviously 6 link in it, so depending on your luck, or if you just want to buy one that is already 6 linked, or if you want to use a prophecy. But crafting this using the serrated, pristine and metallic, and mind you, metallic is mostly used so you can get rid of all the physical mods, and this basically makes it only possible for you to get life, and +1 to supported gems on the prefixes. So basically most of the time, 95% of the time, you're gonna have an empty prefix, which is what you want for the blockchain's craft. And that's actually pretty much it when it comes to crafting all of this stuff. All in all, I think you can make this build as I have it right now in about 40X or so. Depends. Yeah, sound about 40, maybe 50 even. But all in all, it is pretty nice. In the clips you can see the clay speed is actually really nice. If you wanna just be really hard on yourself and just constantly click shit and be super quick, then yeah, the clay speed is just gonna feel even more amazing. Single drag is actually acceptable. You still kill the guardians in less than 10 seconds. I think it's like 6 seconds or something like this. If you have everything on and you put all the totems down and the frost bomb perfectly on time, maybe 5-6 seconds, something like this, which is actually pretty nice for a clay speed build. You constantly have 79% chance to block. We also have just about 11 chance to evade. However, that is not like the actual number, since we also applied blind on hits. From this one right here, you have 10% chance to blind on the crit strike, which is all the time basically. This reduces the enemy chance to hit by half, meaning this 11 becomes something about like 45, 50 or something. Yeah, about 50% chance to evade. So this combined with the Fortify and combined with all the block chance just makes it so hard to hit you with normal attacks. It's ridiculous. And the survivability is just amazing. And the only thing I would probably change in this one is fix the flasks, as well as just get more levels so you can get extra life or extra damage from the tree, and that's literally it. Maybe you can get some more life on the body armor, that would be like another 30 or 40, or you can try to exalt this boots that I'm using right now, so you can get another 20, and overall just increase your life to like 5800 without all the extra levels, so you can have like 6k, level 98, 97, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for the watch, and I hope you actually enjoyed it. This is one of the builds I actually remade just because I really liked the playstyle of it, and I hope you like it too. Have a nice one and enjoy your day. Bye.